and go wada da da wada da da. Wada da da yo wada da da, and go da yo wada da da. This is the voice of the patriot, where we speak truth to power. Now here we don't criticize, but if we must, it would only be on one condition: to build and not to destroy. That is why we keep saying we are in the service of God and country. We don't match at all. Here we are not neutral, and we have never claimed to be. We are not. We have actually taken sides, the side of the truth. That is why we are the headquarters of the truth. This is our daily editorial. My name is Blakk Rasta, and this is the voice of the patriot. And
this is 3FM.
Now, the very first story we are looking at today is interesting, and it's taken from Ghana Word. It says, revoke mining licenses of politically connected galamsey operators. And this is the TUC. And I read it. Now, the Deputy General Secretary of the Trades Union Congress, TUC, Dr. Kwabena Nyakun Otu, has called for the immediate withdrawal of mining licenses belonging to politically connected individuals involved in illegal mining, popularly known as galamsey. Now, according to MIJoyOnline.com report on October 14, 2025, Dr. Otu revealed that several influential figures linked to both the governing NDC and the NPP in opposition are deeply engaged in illicit mining activities, profiting at the expense of Ghana's environment. Now, he made a disclosure following a TUC fact-finding mission to assess the impact of galamsey on water treatment plants in parts of the central and eastern regions. Now, in Enum Apapam, we were told somebody called Robert Lamte, who was a license for small-scale mining in Enum Apapam and its environs, runs a scheme where he covers other illegal miners under his license for a fee. If I want to mine, I go to him, pay him about 70,000 Ghana cedis, and then every week I give him about 30% of whatever I make, he disclosed. Dr. Otu added that the issue cuts across political lines, implicating individuals from both major political parties. That Robert Lamte is an NPP person who, since the NPP lost the election, is now collaborating with Chairman Bibi, the NDC chairman for Akwetia, who currently holds the license and is actively engaged in mining. He warned that the activities of such individuals are worsening the pollution of the Ayensu River and destroying the Ayensu forest, both critical ecological and water resources. It saddens my heart every time I see people who claim to be citizens of this nation behave like pigs. It saddens the very core of my livelihood, the very core of my existence. Anytime I hear things like this, my brother, my sister, people are still engaged in the destruction of our forests, mining in areas that are not designated for that. It has become the biggest lucrative madness in Ghana today. And we have a president who has engaged these people, called appointees to deal with the situation. Yet, it looks like kids' gloves are employed to deal with the so-called problem. I honestly do not know what President Mahama thinks about this. We can pay all the lip service to galamsey as much as we want. But posterity would judge us so harshly. When we are out of power and in opposition, we will look back in retrospect and wish that we had done the needful. Politicians only are able to think properly when they are in opposition. When they face the true hardship that the ordinary Ghanaian, you and I, face. It hurts me that President Mahama is still paying lip service to this dirty galamsey business. Mr. President, I am really sad that this is what is happening. Right now, the TUC has gone on a fact-finding mission. 2 people have been fingered. 1, Chairman BB, and this guy called Robert Lamte. My brother, my sister, we are told they belong to the 2 big political parties in Ghana, the NDC and the NPP. And what they do is that they have been able to get the legal license. Now they use the legal license to employ illegal miners, covering them with their legal license. In other words, legitimizing the illegitimate. It hurts me that Ghanaians haven't come to the reality that we are setting ourselves on fire in our graves, and it brings tears into my eyes. Do we know the dangers of this dirty galamsey? Do we want the water to start smoking before we realize that we have opened a Pandora box of disaster? Do we want to start seeing water being imported into the country before we realize how stupid we have been? It looks like galamsey has become a political tool in our country. And these idiotic politicians continue to play the buffoonery with the lives of the people. It hurts me. If I were God, I know what would have done to these people. I'll give them cancer of the brain, cancer of the testicles, cancer that has no name in the medical dictionary. I am hurt, my brother. How selfish can we be? Money. Do you know the diseases these monies come with? Or are we stupid? Are we stupid? My brother, oh, we can't stop small-scale mining because it brings us a lot of money. If large-scale mining could not bring us all the money, is it small-scale mining that will give us that? If a whole elephant could not satisfy your hunger for meat, is it the grasshopper's meat that will satisfy you? My brother, stop small-scale mining in Ghana right now. There are great countries in the world who don't have gold at all, yet they have survived and they are doing good. We have seen African countries that have banned small-scale mining, and only the nation is involved in large-scale mining. Uganda is one of those. South Africa is one of those. Why do we continue to misbehave like this? When is the turn of the NPP? I see silly MPs who come out and say, we won't stop the galamsey today, we won't stop it tomorrow. They want us to stop it so we will lose power. These people, do they have common sense? And they call themselves honorables. Such stupidities. It hurts. It hurts, my brother. Sister Mahama, you have tested opposition before as a former president. And you realized that your legacy was what kept you alive. If you want to repeat the same mistakes, it's on to you. Now the next thing we want to look at is equally interesting, and I need you to open your ears and listen. And I'm reading this from Ghana Web. It says, former Subin MP sends cutting reply to Gabby over claims on Ashanti MPs. Now the former member of parliament for Subin, Eugene Boachi, has criticized Gabby Asare, a leading member of the NPP, over his remarks alleging that Ashanti MPs opted for community roads instead of flyovers, resulting in the region's current infrastructural challenges. According to him, Ghanaians should question why they give any audience to Ochredako, challenging the authority with which he made such statements. My brother, it's so hurtful. Who is Gabby Asare Ochredako? A cousin of the former president Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Yet he became so overly powerful. He was the pseudo prime minister of the republic. He could hire and fire anybody at will, including appointees of the president. According to the energy minister in the era of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, one Ejakun, when he had gone to broker a deal, my brother, my sister, I'm sure that was the PDS deal. It took Gabby, personal interest and selfishness, to call him and tell him the PDS deal is nil. In other words, it has been cancelled. Ejakun said he was so shocked. He couldn't see the authority with which Gabby, who has never been an MP, never been a minister of state, but by virtue of the fact that he was a cousin or a nephew to the president of the republic, he wielded power bigger than the power of the vice president. The stooge called Bawumia, who himself said he was only a mate. Such a joke. And this guy wants to come back and rule Ghana. What a joker, Bawumia. Bawumia will never be president of this nation. In fact, he will leave this country and go back to where he came from to be part of this so-called NPP. It's a shame, my brother, my sister. A man who claimed that he was only a mate. He was only a puppet in the hands of the president. Such a joker. Why did he not resign? He sat down there and enjoyed the fat salaries and basked in the sunshine of fame and diplomacy. At the end of the day, a coward like that says he was only a mate. Who was the real driver? Gabby Asare Ochredako. He could hire and fire. Ejakun told us point blank. This guy got so powerful. Now, but the big question is, my brother, my sister, in what capacity was he hiring and firing and canceling deals? Because he was the nephew of the president. He ran the country on his back, we were told. That is what the Subin MP is saying. This guy says that he sat in meetings where it was discussed amongst MPs what kind of roads they needed in the Ashanti regions, and they opted for community roads ahead of flyovers. In what capacity did he sit in those meetings? The Prime Minister or the second deputy president? What kind of country are we running? This is a man who was born in Chelsea. He has a British passport. He is a citizen of Britain. My brother, my sister, as we are told, he comes to Ghana and he becomes more powerful than the vice president, who was relegated to the status of a mate, a cheap common mate. What a cheap Baumia. Subin MP is asking, may I ask Subin MP and all those MPs who refused to talk at the time Gabby was in power, could they have opened their mouths like this? They knew how powerful he was. They didn't talk. They knew Gabby was the pseudo prime minister. They couldn't have coughed at the time that his uncle was president. Today their uncle is gone, and some of them cowardly are now coming back questioning the power with which Gabby acted. You didn't denounce him when they were in power. Now that he's out of power, you have a loud mouth to denounce him. A lot of these people ran to Gabby to make things happen for them. Wherever he went, flags were hoisted and red carpet spread in front of him to walk gallantly. And where it mattered